We created minds and we made it shine. Always on that crazy grind. Take the time on the stage. At the rug, eat the vibe. Created minds, created minds, created minds, created minds. In the world ain't cherished it. Yeah, we got the narrative. To the world we are sharing it. Created minds, created minds, created minds.
Africans everywhere, we stay creative, keeping it real. Out here, you never get it. Never trust no one is here, we stay selective. But Babani singing up, by a cabana. Live the name of Africa, we can't breathe. Racism is real for us, from east to west. This incarceration for us, serious problem. When they let me call up a cookie, must call it big. The two divided in Africa, must land a name. How can an African in Africa be a foreigner? Back in the days in Africa, there were no borders. Even if the East was part of Ikumbula, now we break chains and break free. We stay creative, we stay scared and marching. That's what's so time now. We need wealth and self-love, not equality. We need joy, red light in the superior.
We created minds and we made it shine. Always on that crazy grind. Taking time on the stage. At the rug, eat the vibe. Created minds, created minds, created minds, created minds. In the world ain't cherished it. Yeah, we got the narrative. To the world we are sharing it. Created minds, created minds, created minds, created minds.
Always put on this earth to tell stories. When I'm spitting in the mic and I feel the light of God's glory. Human life is not just to eat, sleep, and die. We got our meaning from the dream and not just on the next time. I'm on this grind. This is my spiritual lifeline. Synagogue twice a year, but I write in the nighttime. Creative minds driven by the urge to make you feel, to make things real. I feel I made a deadly deal. That's wealth in a lifetime of service to the day I die. But honestly, it's worth it. Because my life was saved by scripts and stages, by notes and tape decks, CDs, vinyl, and iPod playlists. My name is T.I.K. Yeah, that's who spake this. Now remember my voice, and my mind is creative. I hear voices from the other side in my head, trying to write it down before I wind up dead. I gotta spit it because they can. Creative mind is in the trance. Weaving sentences into pictures and trying to express what is in ya. The ancestors' voices sing. Creative minds are now insane.
You're right, like a rhyme at a time. Hope you like my last piece, I'm coming with the lines. Funny as the times, something like a crime. When I put the words together, just gon' be so fly. I have a blessed treasure, love the Yahweh in my ancestors' fourth mixtape. Thought you hear this band never again. With my friends, here you go. Let me read this flow. For the simple folk, watch my payment flow. A pencil bowl on a different stroke. What the hell I ever could? God last, living my dreams. 40 plays in podcasts, fit days in my apartment, just hurting, searching. But then I get creative in a coffee shop, being nerdy. Was left on to creator. My thoughtless is certain. Always working, never break, for heaven's sake. I'm getting takes. Watch me move, yo. I got one to do with something to prove. I got one to do with something to prove. Not before my last breath, it's something to do. Feel me? Yeah. We created minds and we make time. Always on that crazy grind. Taking time on the same. At the rug, eat the vibe. Created minds, created minds, created minds, created minds. In the world ain't cherished it. Yeah, we got the narrative. To the world we are sharing it. Created minds, created minds, created minds, created minds.
Yo! Welcome to yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. I'm your host with the most, keeping it 100 from coast to coast. Through God, I boast. ADQ, you all are 20. My lamp just fell. Anywho, you all are tuning in to yet another episode of the ADQ Renaissance podcast. Happy Easter to you all. Happy Easter to everybody. He is risen, and we will praise his mighty name for that. If God would not have come down into this earth in human form. Hey, Karen, how you doing? Hey, whoever's watching this, please share, yo. We about about to talk some really dope things. So, if Jesus would not have come down to this world and die for our sins, I know me, I would not be living this life. I would not be the incredible, articulate individual I am. I'd probably be dead. Speaking of death, what an unnecessary segue, but yo, please continue to keep DMX in your prayers. His condition has not gotten any better in the past 24 hours, so please keep DMX in your prayers. In Jesus' name, in the name of the ancestors, we say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. We speak healing to DMX. Now, not all of us are religious. Not all of us follow religious customs. Some of us just want to sit back and talk theater today. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get into theater, I just want to say peace, love, shout out to Abasi Yahim, Amare, and Jessica Cunningham, King Bakir, hosts of the incredible podcast, Black Out Loud. Great, powerful, incredible discussion that we had yesterday. Now, I'm about to bring on here a brother who is coming for the third time. 3 times. How many people are in the 3-time club? 3 times. This brother is coming on for the 3rd time. This brother, man's like a little brother to me. He is the voice. He is the second voice that you just heard on that banging new ADQ joint, Creative Minds. He has come through the rigors of the UNCG theater department system. He is a very, very, very talented individual, great guy. But also, by the way, we are about to sit back and we about to talk theater, baby. Because we got to hang on to the theater in these crazy, crazy, crazy times. I don't know what he just said. But anyway, we got to hang on to theater in these crazy, crazy times because it is the arts that has been keeping us going through this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to ADQ's Renaissance, my good friend, Mr. Lorin Kaplan, my bad. What's up, Lorin?
Not much, Adrian. Just finished up Passover on my end, so happy Pesach to everybody, and happy Easter to you. Am I allowed to plug things really quickly? Am I allowed to plug something before we get started?
Go ahead.
All right. Just so y'all know, we don't have an official date on this yet, but Adrian, you know the person who wrote this, Amanda Almodovar, who we did our sips and scripts with, working on I think it was 26 Candles, right?
Yeah.
She wrote this amazing piece called Terrifying. It's being produced as a short film right now. We shoot next week. I don't know how long the editing process is going to take. I will send more info to Adrian as far as when it drops and everything, but definitely look out for that. Follow her, check her out, look up Terrifying or Terrifying Film. It's a phenomenal project. It's got some really cool people working on it, and I'm really excited for it to drop. And I think there's a lot of people who really appreciate it. So, yes.
Well, let's see. Amanda, who I would love to have on here one day. Amanda is a wizard with that pen, yo.
Yeah.
I've seen things she's written in the past. It wasn't Pink and Blue. I think it was The Adventures of Pink and Purple. Pinky and Blue was the joint they did. Was
Denise? Yeah, she did that one, I think. Right.
She did The Adventures of Pink and Purple. Dope musical. She's also been shopping this joint that she wrote about people who are, addicts and stuff. It's a tearjerker, and it will take you places. I'm like, how in the world are you gonna be able to write this incredible kiddie musical and this tearjerking joint about addicts? She woo. The theater world needs people like Amanda. You know what I'm saying? Not only
she's so positive too. That's the thing that gets me. Like, she spreads positivity everywhere she goes. Like, even from what I've seen of her scripts that are hard to read, that are tough to go through, like, there is that light of positivity in it. I highly recommend, if y'all can, check out her work. I'm sure Adrian can drop some stuff, some links. When this film is done, I'm sure that'll get talked about, et cetera, et cetera. But please, please, please look her up. Check out her work. She is amazing. And she's phenomenal to collaborate with.
She is. I mean, it's a sad thing that we have not collaborated more, but you know, we will. Well, since you're plugging things, let me plug something before we even get into the conversation. 6 o'clock this Friday, this Saturday, and and more days. You can find this at CTG Greensboro, Community Theater Greensboro.com. I will be making my royal return to the theater, live theater, through Mayhem at the Masquerade. Check that out. You know, you're going to be tickled by what's going on. You're going to laugh. You're going to enjoy it greatly. Great group of people that was put together over at the Community Theater Greensboro. Shout out to them. Also, Caleb Kurtz, very talented young man. Wrote a script called Acceptance. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just saying, this young man, 16 years old. Very talented individual. And y'all heard the Joint Creative Minds featuring this talented young man. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna give away too much information of what I got going on. And the great thing about Caleb, you, Lauren, and Amanda, all y'all can't see time.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to Time. That was an amazing show, dude. I can't wait to see if that project has anyone worked on it, any production, anything. Let me know. I'm interested. That was a really cool piece. I
appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now we're talking about musicals today, and you brought up a very argument about the musical Rent. Now, for those of y'all who are watching and you're not familiar with Rent, it is a musical that Jonathan Larson wrote back in the early 90s, I believe. Yeah, it was.
I thought it was late 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s, that time frame, right? When there was an AIDS epidemic going on in America and whatnot. And he wrote the musical from the perspective of 6 friends, 6 very interesting friends, 6 very interesting characters, and how the epidemic and how poverty, drug use, love, and all of that has affected their beings, right? Now, here's my connection with Rent. Number 1, I've always wanted to play the role of Benny. Number 2, it was Rent that got me back in the theater. Real talk. One day is 2005, right? I'm sitting there. I'm watching the NBA playoffs or something, right? And all of a sudden, I see this trailer. And I'm seeing these 6 people standing in an empty theater going, 525,600 men. Like, oh my God. Yo, what in the world? How in the world do you do them backflips in them high heels? Wow, New York is more beautiful than I thought. Sheesh. Okay, I've never seen so dramatic of a hug. How you gonna be doing all that spinning and flinging around a train still and stuff? I was like, oh my goodness. And next thing you know, Seasons of Love. I love Rent.
Yeah.
I love Rent. Now, the crazy thing is that's the film version. I have not seen the play, but as plays are, I'm pretty sure. Yo, Lauren, you still with us?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me? My internet may have gone sideways. I can't tell if I dropped out or if Adrian did. Oh, shoot. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Adrian's internet dropped out. He said he'll be back in a minute, so I guess it's just me. I think, I'm sorry that Adrian couldn't finish this point, but I want to also add on, like, my first experience with Rent was seeing it in theater, seeing it at what ended up being my high school, actually. Ended up having people performing in it who became my friends later on. One of whom, in particular, the lovely, talented Anna Acha. She and I haven't talked in a minute, but I'm going to shout out her name because she is a badass. She was playing, I think, Mimi. But I remember seeing this show and being blown away. I mean, honestly, my dad is gay. I am at least like pansexual, something around there. So like for me, seeing this show, it was a big deal. And I was a kid and I was just figuring out some of this stuff about myself. But I saw this high school performance of it and it made me think, oh, right, this is what I want to do. Like I want to do acting. I want to do theater. Like I just kind of knew. And it was something I knew later on too. But this was a moment where I kind of felt it. I felt that draw. Because I remember like, the production I saw also had a lot of like black and brown people in it, which you don't always get with productions of Rent. Hopefully you do, but this one in particular had a very, very diverse cast. And so for me, it was very powerful to see, even when I was young. And the music's amazing. I know Adrian could talk about that for hours. I mean, the music is ridiculous. It's so good. And I remember after seeing the show live for the first time, like I went and I made my dad get the movie and we watched the movie. We did all this stuff, So I like saw every version of it I could. I used to listen to the Broadway soundtrack. I learned how to play Seasons of Love on the piano at one point. Like that's how into Rent I was growing up. Because it meant a lot. And I know like a lot of other people had similar experiences where they saw it the first time and they were young. They saw stuff in it that they couldn't see in other shows. And they realized, wow, like I identify with this, or I can see myself on that stage, or wow, there are people like that I kind of know about, and here they are in a play. Like that's really, really cool. I want to learn more about this. I think it helped a lot of people see themselves in a story that ended up becoming mainstream, and that's pretty cool. I think that's really, really powerful. So I am happy Rent exists for those reasons alone,
Yo, I'm back.
Welcome back.
So I know that me, while I looked at the characters and saw three characters who looked like me, Joanne, Collins, and Benny. From a sexual standpoint, I could not identify, but from an artistic standpoint, because all of them are artists in their own right, from a disconnectivity standpoint from major society, I could identify with Collins. Collins was a straight up anarchist, right? Joanne and Benny were both in the system. Joanne had a little edge to her, right? She had a little edge to her, but she was still in the system. She was an attorney. Benny was just a complete sellout. He just completely he married into money and sold out, right?
Right.
And the songs that they made around that, like the first, like Rent. You have the joint Rent that Mark is singing, and then the second song where Benny's going, "You'll see, boys." I forget the name of that one. He is totally trying to legitimize how he sold out. Excuse me, how he sold out and married up, and trying to bring Mark and Jack, right?
Yeah. I haven't seen the show in a minute, I will admit. It's
Same here. But how he was trying to bring Mark and shoot the press guitar guy, I forgot his name, along for the ride. So what character you think you could identify the most with?
You know, it's hard to say. I don't know that I identify personally with any one character super strong. I think what I identified more with was the sort of motley crew of who these people were, that it was a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds all smushed together, which is kind of what I was raised up in. I was adopted. And my dad, this gay Jewish guy, had all these different friends from all these different backgrounds. So I was surrounded by different people who looked different from me, who acted different, who came from all different cultures from one another, who were artists, poets, doctors, lawyers. I mean, everything you can think of. So in some ways, I looked at this show and I saw a lifestyle that was kind of like the one I was brought up in, and I think that was what I identified with more. And I think also, like, as I get older, having a lot of friends who are trans or transgender, having friends who have been drag queens, having friends who have been starving, artists, having friends who have made it too, and gotten the big gigs and gotten in the industry and are kicking ass right now. Being, not straight myself and being in that crew of people and all the different colors and, flavors of the rainbow that come with that. I think I really identified with Rent because it was like that felt like not my community, but a community like the one I come from, It felt like people I could relate to. And I think the realness and the genuine, like, I don't know, like the vulnerability of some of the characters, the way they really connected to each other and to the audience, I found that really powerful.
To me, oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Oh, I was about to say, to me, it kind of like reflected what the theater is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A whole bunch of some people, outcasts, out there looking for a place to belong, and it's like all of them in some. Roger, that was the man's name. That was the dude's name. Roger.
Yes.
Yeah, Roger, Mimi, Mark, Joanne, Maureen, Benny.
Yes. Yeah. You still there, Andrea? Oh. Okay, looks like Adrian's internet cut out again. So it is just me once more. From what I could tell, I don't really know what point he was trying to make, but I know he was talking about the characters. So I guess for people who haven't seen the show, I'll go over who the characters are, just because we're talking about it like everyone knows the show, and maybe they don't. There's Mimi. She's a seamstress with tuberculosis. It's heavily implied that she has HIV or AIDS, and I believe also she was a dancer. And oh, sorry, these are two different shows. My bad. So Mimi in Rent is an erotic dancer with HIV. She's Roger's girlfriend. Roger is a songwriter and a musician who's HIV positive. Mimi's boyfriend, Mark Cohane. He's the Jewish filmmaker, independent. He's Roger's roommate. Maureen is a bisexual performance artist. She's Joan's girlfriend. Angel Dumont Chouinard. She's the character who is. It's unclear whether she's just a drag queen or a trans individual, but she also has AIDS. She's Colin's partner. Sorry, Adrian, I'm just going through the characters because you left for a second and I realized some people may not know who these characters are. I am using Wikipedia, so I apologize. I know that's a little ratchet, but Tom Collins
It's all good, bro.
is Angel's boyfriend. He is a like philosophy professor at NYU. He has AIDS and he's an anarchist. And Joan, we've talked about before. She's a lesbian lawyer, Maureen's girlfriend. And then there's Benny, who is the guy who sold out and used to be the roommate of Roger, Mark, and Colin and Maureen. So, yeah, those are the characters. So I was just doing that because I knew you were like talking about them, and I wanted to make sure people knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, and also, people, my computer is demon possessed right now. Demon possessed on this day of the Lord. So please forgive me if I tap out. I will tap back in. I greatly apologize. So yeah, those were the characters. What was I about to say? Oh my god, I just lost it. Lauren, I just lost it. It's coming back. It's coming back. This is what happens when you get old. Fair warning. This is what happens when you get old. But yeah, that was a very that's a very interesting mix of characters. Now, your friend of mine, Ralph.
Yes. Ralph and I had a little conversation about Rent. Ralph and I used to be roommates, and Ralph is this amazing playwright and director. And we met actually through a mutual friend of ours. And we ended up collaborating a bunch, and then we became really close friends, and we lived together. There was a period I was doing a show at Triad, and I was living on Ralph's couch, So, like, we've known each other for a minute. We've talked a lot about theater, about plays, and we have talked a lot about Rent. And I told Ralph I was doing the podcast today, and Ralph told me to come on and say a couple things about Rent on their behalf, because they did Easter dinner and are probably in a food coma right now. So let me read what Ralph said really quickly. So he said, so here's some bullet points. So the two characters that the plot largely centers around are two cishet white men, one of which has the means to not only escape poverty on two separate occasions, but financially support his friends trapped in it. Both times he declines to purposefully be a starving He declines so he can purposefully be a starving artist, and he's trying to use the stories of people less fortunate than himself for his film, much like Larson did himself for Rent. And this character is considered sort of the self-insert. I believe the character is it's Mark, yeah. So Mark has multiple opportunities to leave and uses being a starving artist intentionally to mine stuff for his film. On top of that, a huge portion of the action in the play comes from dramatizing the events the trauma felt by queer people, particularly queer people of color during the AIDS epidemic, up to killing off the one character in the musical who might be trans. Might be because Larson didn't have the guts to define Angel as either just a drag queen or full-on trans, and giving her an almost Christ-like send-off without anger or defiance, while actual queer people were fighting for their lives against an oppressive, bigoted government that is not mentioned once within the entire musical. Those were the first sort of sets of points Ralph made. And I think it's important to add in afterwards, and I think this is what I want to talk about with Rent specifically, but what Ralph also says is, there's plenty to love. Despite the issues in hindsight, at the time it was a huge step forward for Broadway, representation of queer people and people of color, regardless of how well the characters are actually handled in context. Even if it does have two cishet white dude leads and was written by a cishet white dude, it was a hugely popular musical that at least tried to step away from the quote-unquote great white way. And I'm inclined to agree with that. I think there are problems with Rent. I love Rent. I'm saying this as somebody who grew up adoring this show. At the same time, it has some serious problems in hindsight. In addition, that doesn't take away what it's represented, what it's done for people, what it means for people, whether that's seeing representation in a show for yourself or seeing a show that just makes you feel something, which is kind of why we do this, right? Is to make people feel shit. And if it made you feel something or it made you feel represented or you just love it, that's good. You know, I personally have no problem with that. I don't think anybody else does. I think I just don't think Rent is perfect in the way that I used to, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense because Jonathan Larson, I'm pretty sure put this together. I ain't speaking ill of the dead, but I'm pretty sure he put it together thinking, yo, I'm going to do this. Because he said in the documentary about himself that each character represents some facet of some friend they had. So he was like,
exactly.
I'm going to put this together showing love to my friend. But if you're like holding off on going certain places, you know,
then you're not doing justice to those people. Yeah. You're not doing justice to those people. Like, not to speak ill of him or be a bad person, but like, if you love your friends and want to put them in a story, but don't have the guts to talk about what they really went through, like if you're taking the agency upon yourself to already tell that story, tell it fully. Don't half-ass it. That's kind of my problem. I'm not sure he was the guy to tell that story, you know?
And that's a good point because I would not tell a story like that. I am not part of the LGBTQIA community. I have friends such as yourself who ride with that community and whatnot. Much love. I'm not a member. Therefore, I don't think that I should be anybody who will write anything like that. I'm cis. Let's see. I'm cis, straight, male identifying. So I should not be the one to write that musical. There's somebody out there who should be writing that musical. I question if any white playwrights out there. No, not question. I know. Don't know white playwrights need to be out there whiting. White. I said whiting.
You ain't wrong.
Writing plays about black people or Roma people. You know what I'm saying?
I can't tell you the number of plays. Yeah. I mean, look at fucking, pardon my language, look at Clyburn Park, you know?
Oh, Lord.
Clyburn Park is a great example of a white playwright coming along saying, I don't care that you don't want me to touch this intellectual property. I have a point to make, and I can't do it on the merit of my own show, so I'm going to stick it onto another work of art that has nothing to do with me. I'm going to poorly write black characters and turn them into the enemy, while I, a white yuppie asshole, bitch about my non-existent problems through the lens of a couple characters who feel bad about being called racist when they are.
You're making me glad that I have yet to see Clyburn Park.
You don't. It's a waste of time. Literally, I read that script freshman year of college here, and for years I'd had teachers in different acting classes tell me, you have to read Clyburn Park. Clyburn Park is so good. It's the best follow-up to this play. And not only did it lack any of the nuance, the intelligence, the creativity, the beauty of A Raisin in a Sun, it lacked any hint of integrity. It lacked any realism. It lacked all ability to really connect with these characters. It lacked total empathy. There was no fucking empathy. It used hokey methodology to tug at your heartstrings by putting a suicide at the end of the play. Just a bunch of... It's just a messy show, and the majority of it is people complaining and arguing about shit that doesn't matter, to an end that is basically a white guy saying, I shouldn't have to feel bad about saying racist shit. Using Lorraine Hansberry's work as a springboard to do that, when he was told to cease and desist by the estate, and he kept going. This is something I could rant about for hours. I have problems with Clyburn Park, and it's part of why I have problems with Rent, because it's a similar situation. It's not as blatant or hateful, but it's clearly somebody who didn't know what they were getting into, didn't know how to talk about these subjects, speaking on the behalf of other people, hopefully in homage, but really in some ways to the detriment of. Because while these are beloved, amazing characters, they're two-dimensional unless the actors who come to these roles know what the hell they're talking about and add new layers of complexity to the characters through their behavior. It's
Sounds like
very... Yeah, sorry.
no. Go ahead. You're my guest, man. Go ahead.
It's, to me, it's very, like, I love Rent, and I know that's hard to believe. I do. Every time I hear those songs, I get a mushy heart. I cry my eyes out. You know, I go back to those memories of being a kid, about to be in high school, seeing it for the first time in this, frankly, probably the best production I've seen of Rent, and it was a high school show, you know, with people who ended up becoming my friends. I mean, it was this thing that just, it was a landmark moment for me. You know, it made me realize what I wanted to do in many ways, as far as doing this art. And I think about it a lot. You know, it's not something that doesn't escape my mind. I love Rent, but I have huge problems with how it came into being. And I think that's what bothers me. And that's why I'm so passionate about stuff like Clyburn Park, too, because, again, it's just, you know, I'm not Black, but I can empathize with the beauty and the intelligence and the importance of A Raisin in the Sun. And I've had work of mine. I'm not like a famous playwright. I'm not even very well known, but I've had stories I've told people, and then they tell other people, and it's wrong because they don't have that perspective. And I would hate to be in that position where it's your life story or your life's work, and it's told in a way only you can tell it. And somebody takes that and uses that as a springboard to say something that counteracts your work.
That is
or your life.
That is a slap in the face of not only the Queen, Lorraine Hansberry, but also another great ancestor, Langston Hughes, for A Raisin in the Sun came from his play Harlem.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people see Rent as a slap in the face now with more perspective on it. Because it has the opportunity to tell this really nuanced story, and it uses a lens that diminishes the quality of the story being told, so that characters become symbols and don't have depth. And the only way to bring that depth is with a good director and good actors who are meant to play those characters, who know those life experiences, who can talk on them, speak on them, and make decisions about who these characters are. You know,
look at 6 of the characters, there could be more depth to be told to their stories, because, you know, I'm sitting here wondering, why in the world is Roger so freaking depressed? What does Mark want to do with his life? Because he does come from a privileged Jewish background, right?
Yeah.
Collins, is he stable? I'm like, yo,
yeah.
he's stacking money from ATMs, and he's supposed to be a professor. I mean, shout out to him for not selling out and joining up with the Black elite class, but still, I'm like, dude, plant your feet somewhere.
Well, he's like supposedly an anarchist, right? So it's just like, screw the government. Nothing has meaning. No institution has power over me. I'm going to do what I want. There are different forms of anarchy and anarchists. I think the version that Collins is this very, like, it's a caricature. And I think that's part of the problem with Rent. A lot of these characters, while they're very real in some ways and they feel legit because those connections feel legit and visceral, the characters themselves are almost cartoon characters, unless you have a really, really good cast. You know?
Angel can surely be a great beacon or a story to anyone who lives the life that Angel lived. But Angel also killed a daggone dog.
Yeah. Well, and that's also not to say that, you know, there aren't, you know, trans women who do crazy shit. But the point is, if you're going to tell that story, be really clear. Angel is trans, not just Angel could be trans or is a drag queen. Who knows? Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like he had this opportunity to be really, really clear and was a little too afraid to make the commitment. So the show was still there. The characters are still there. Whoever these characters are based on are baked into who these characters are. So it gives them this character, this flavor, and we love them for that. But the nuance and the truth of their story is lost because their voices are erased.
Maureen is portrayed as a free-spirited hoe.
Yeah. Well, look at the way Mimi is treated throughout the entire play.
She's portrayed as a prostitute.
She's not just portrayed as just a prostitute. She's portrayed as a nuisance that has to be fixed. She's portrayed as a problem, as a tragic problem that needs to be fixed or she's doomed. When it's like, the reason you love her is she's this beautiful, vibrant human being. Yeah. And this character, and maybe this is indicative of the character's flaws. I don't know if this is intentional on Larson's part. It's hard to tell. Roger comes in and is like, I think it was Roger, right? He's the one who dates Mimi?
Yeah.
Roger comes in my spirit. Yeah. Roger, Mr. I need a one-hit glory. I just need to get that gift from God. I love Roger. I love that song. It's a good song. But this guy comes into her life after idolizing her, after putting her on a pedestal. And then the moment she shows actual flaws, he's like, fuck you. Get your shit together. Do this for me. Do this for me. Can't you do this for me? Can't you fix yourself for me? And she's like, I'm not broken. That's her whole point. I'm not broken. This is who I am. And I wonder if that's the nuance of Larson or a fumble. It's hard to tell. And that's why the lack of clarity frustrates me. Because with a lot of these characters, there's mixed signals and mixed messaging. And some of it's very damaging. These characters we love, who are clearly, something in them is real. Because not a single actor will tell you that who's done Rent. Not one of them will tell you they did that and couldn't put their soul into it. If they were meant to play that character, they felt it. If they lived those experiences, they played that character to its fullest. I've met people who have done that, and it's something beautiful to watch. But what scares me to think about is that Larson wrote a piece where he kind of didn't know what he was doing, it seems, in some ways. Kind of didn't know the messages he was sending. All the women in the play have to be fixed or are nuisances or are problematic.
Woo! Joanne is presented, number one, as your typical angry black woman. And number two, Maureen swears to love her, but talks about her like she's a nuisance.
Exactly. And I say this as somebody who loves Rent. I'm sure my girlfriend will get on me this later because there have been times I've ranted about Rent to her and she gets mad at me because she loves Rent too. But I swear to God, I do love Rent. Again, I learned how to play the song on the piano. We're talking about a kid who, when he played piano and was doing it week for week, could barely practice his scales. But I learned how to play Rent by ear.
Right.
By listening to it again and again and figuring out how to play stuff on the piano from this show. That's how much I love this show. I just look back on it now, and it smacks of the same thing Clyburn Park does, where it's like, these weren't your stories to tell. I'm glad somebody told them. I'm glad people's eyes were open. I know Rent has changed lives. I know that for a fact. I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know if Rent needs to be keep being performed versus new shows and new works in the same vein as Rent that aren't considered mainstream being given more resources and attention. That seems more important to me personally.
That sounds like a challenge for yourself.
Yeah. And I also, I come from the experimental theater scene. I come from doing really collaborative underground stuff. So that's my background. That's what I'm about. So of course I'm going to come in here and say that's what I think should be boosted. I'm not saying that Rent is illegitimate. I'm not saying that mainstream theater is illegitimate, but I do think there was a better way to tell those stories. And I do look on Rent now and find it hard to review or rewatch.
Well, mainstream theater is starting to deviate from what theater was meant to be at the beginning. You know, theater was meant to be. Here's art. We're gonna put it out. People are gonna watch it, and it's gonna change lives.
Yeah.
Now I remember walking around Broadway, and I finally understood. These different theaters are producing plays. These different theaters are basically Hollywood studios, the theater version of Hollywood studios. Like, shoot, I'm trying to think of a Broadway house. It's
Frozen.
I lost it.
Let's talk about some shows that are on right now. Let me look it up right now. I'm gonna go on Google. We're gonna do this. Top 10 and we'll go to 2019 because that was an actual year when things were happening. Shows of
remember those years.
I know, right? So top 10 Broadway shows of 2019. Let's take a look.
I know that Dear Evan Hansen and Waitress are two of them. And
yeah. So it's Hamilton, obviously. Still number one. Moulin Rouge. I did not know that Moulin Rouge actually was on Broadway. Lion King, Hadestown. Hadestown is good. Hadestown came kind of from fringe and got into the mainstream. Come From Far Away. Let's see what this is about. A very relevant play for the 2019 show year, consistently in the top 50% of broadly popular shows. Follows an uplifting tale of one small Canadian town whose residents rose up, provided friendship, food, and shelter to people in time of need despite their many cultural differences. This musical is a must-see for the socially aware crowd and has some strong 9/11 sensibilities. Dear Evan Hansen, no surprise. Frozen, no surprise. To Kill a Mockingbird, no surprise. Wicked, no surprise. And then the last one is Darren Brown's Secret. And this looks like another kind of more fringe thing. Let's see. It's a magic/entertainment show performed by Darren Brown himself. It's perfect for kids, families, and dates. So no, it's completely marketable. And there's nothing wrong with marketable theater. That's how we make money. But look at how big all these titles are. Hamilton grew from something small, but is now mainstream. Moulin Rouge, that was a movie. Lion King, that was a movie. Hadestown came from the fridge. Come From Far Away is about Canadians. Dear Evan Hansen, Frozen, based on a movie. To Kill a Mockingbird, based on a book and then a movie. Wicked, based on a movie, based on a book written about a movie made about a book. Darren Brown, a magician. That's what the more mainstream top of the industry shit is. It's not this experimental stuff. So to see something like Rent get so big, like that's pretty cool. I'm not going to deny that. And you know, Rent probably did come from the fringe scene.
Yeah.
You know, I just think neglecting that scene now, when we're more advanced, when there's more to talk about, you know, that's problematic. Now, the fact that we have 3 big shows from the fringe scene out there, that's pretty cool. But I think we need to keep moving. I think there needs to be new stuff. I think we need to keep pushing. You know?
I agree because I have a fringe experimental spirit deep down inside me like you do. I just know that a lot. I just know that, you know, you start off meaning well, and then some money comes to you, and you're like, dang, how can I keep making this money? I ain't gonna lie, I love money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me too, man.
But one of my most favorite scriptures: "What so profit a man to gain the world but lose his soul?" Like if I gain the entire world, and the world is at my and the world is my oyster and stuff, but yet I have completely neglected and sold out all my principles, everything that makes me me. And what do I have, right?
Yeah.
So that's where any playwrights out there, and this goes for myself, don't take shortcuts. Don't play it safe. If you want to go there, go there.
And also, don't be like if okay, if you were to write a play about a group of people that's not connected to you, like a lot of people say, write what you know. But if you choose to write about a group of people because you feel like nobody's listening, and you have a megaphone to do it, kind of like Larson did, take the time to tell the story right. I have personally written stuff about people who are not me, have not my experience, but I tried to take the time to do the research I needed to do. And I asked the questions that needed to be asked. I'm not saying that makes it right, but at least as a bare minimum, if you're going to try to tell someone else's story, do your damn homework and tell it right. And don't half-ass it. If you're afraid of telling the story and it's not yours to tell, then you shouldn't be telling it at all. If you have the conviction to tell it, then you better do your research. That's what I believe, you know? And you better get people who have lived that life involved in your shit.
Like,
you know?
I would tell you that if anybody was to want to write a story, it's about to be a very clever segue. Watch this. If anybody was to want to tell a story about the experience of black men and black boys in America, you better be daggone you better be daggone black writing it. Because only us can truly understand our experiences in this crazy world. That's why I am telling you that if you have a black boy in your life, you really need to get this here book, A Marginalized Voice. It is by Reginald Williams. It is a great breakdown about why some of us are angry, why of us flock to gangs, why some of us are just walking around hoping that someone will understand us. It's called A Marginalized Voice. If you want to get it, the link is in the description. It is a great breakdown about, black boys. And, once upon a time, I was a black boy. And I felt like no one understood me. It's a great book. You'll wonder why are there black boys walking around here bopping, wearing chains, flocking to gangs. A lot of the reasons for that is because they're looking for a family. The family dynamic in their biological home is completely ruptured, broken, non-existent. The gang members on the corners, they present that family dynamic that they've been looking for. And also, let's not be so quick to demonize gangs. Crips. What does Crip stand for? Community Revolution in Progress, or Community Revolution Inter-Party Service. They are an offshoot of the Black Panther Party, and anybody who knows ADQ knows that I rock with the Panthers. So, A Marginalized Voice, please get it. Now, back to talking with my man Lorin. So, we're not just here to bash Rent and stuff, but these are hardcore ugly facts about them. But one thing you can tell me, what in the heck is La Vie Boheme? The song is so great, but what in the world does it mean? What's La Vie Boheme?
I'll be honest. Again, it's been a minute, I know that there was a show that Rent is partially based on, actually.
And called La Boheme.
Yeah, it's an opera called La Boheme, which is referential to the idea of Bohemia, which is this whole thing, like this whole concept that I think the French came up with, where anything kind of Eastern influence, like now it's just, it used to be a combination of like Turkish culture and a little bit of Northern India Roma culture and some other stuff. Like that was all considered boho, and that's where that like comes from, is just a collectivization of a bunch of different cultures from an outside perspective, that they were like, we don't know what this is, but these people are nomads. We think that's cool. We're going to call them Bohemian. So like, I don't know. It may have some reference to that. Rent is based on that, story. The La Boheme characters are similar in that they're a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds, and they're all coming from, different motivations and etc. So it's it's highly understandable that's where the quote unquote bohemian thing comes from, or from the fact that they're poor, or maybe they've been moving around. And you can see how Larson adapted the original piece to kind of try and quote unquote modernize it. So I guess that's what Rent is, an attempt to modernize the archetype La Boheme sets forth.
Gotcha. Let's see, another song that I like. Let's see. What's the name of the song? 1,000 Kisses. So after I first saw Rent, there were a couple times when I went on dates and I tried to recreate the song and the scene while on the date. It was weird, but I think 1,000 Kisses is great. It's a great love song. I'm probably gonna sing that in my wedding. I'm gonna be like, hey, wifey, make sure to memorize Angel's lines in 1,000 Kisses, because I think it's a great song.
Yeah. Do you want to play a clip of it? Do you want me to read the lyrics? What do you want to do with this?
Play a clip of it. Go ahead.
Okay, let me. Yeah, 1 second. I've got my Bluetooth in. Let me take that out so you guys can hear it. Okay. You still hear me, Adrian?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Okay. So I think this is it here.
I cannot hear it, but I'm still jamming.
Oh, I'm sorry. You couldn't hear it?
Can't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
I can't, but here's a great thing. I can as I do, me being the music buff I am, I can put the song when I audiolize. Is audio even audiolize a word? It is now. Now,
when you edit this, when you clip it, I guess you can just put it in there so we can have people listen to it.
Yeah, it's a great song, man. It's a great song. But you want to know the song that I relate to the most?
Yeah, go ahead.
Living in America.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
living in America, but Mark and Roger living in America. We're living in America at the end of the millennium. We're dying in America.
Yeah, here it is. Sorry, again, it's been a minute for me, so I'm having to look at the lyrics again. But yes.
Take Me or Leave Me between Joanne and Maureen is the most classic breakup song ever. I don't care.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There's that song that came out back in 03 where it's like, F you, I don't want you back. There's that. There's all the Snoop Dogg joints where he was saying B's ain't S. But Take Me or Leave Me, that is like the best breakup song ever.
Yeah, it is.
Are you reading the lyrics of it?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm reading a bunch of different lyrics right now. Which Take Me or Leave Me. Let's take a look at that.
I remember also once being on a train in New York and thinking to myself, what in the world is it about this daggone train that'll make anyone think about opening up a restaurant in Santa Fe?
Yeah. I also want it's interesting, to see also the different dynamics here, in the lyrics. Again, I found that a lot of the time the dialogue, the actual story progression was kind of where Rent was weaker, and where it was strongest was in the music. The music is what makes you feel things. It's where the real connection, it's where the real characters come out. So in that way, I guess I want to credit it there. Like, I mean, the music is amazing. The lyrics are well done. You know,
but like in the movie, there's dialogue, but in the musical, the original musical, it's like sang through. There is no dialogue.
oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
basically, Larson was like trying to make a whole bunch of songs carry over a storyline, which I can imagine that's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not bashing him as a technically as a writer. I think his technical skill is like clear, right? Like, obviously, he was very talented and probably very hardworking. You know, and I think, you know, being able to thread together those plot points, and I apologize coming in as somebody who hasn't seen the show in a while and is talking about it.
So good.
You know, I look at it more conceptually now, I guess, because it was one of those things that I saw so long ago. But yeah, it is impressive what he did, and it is impressive also what that show makes people feel. You know, and I think that should be celebrated. You know.
So I'm gonna ask you. What musical have you seen? Name 3 musicals that you have seen recently. Since, good Lord, my fingers are fat. What name the top 3 musicals that you have seen in the past? Since 2019.
I will admit there was I used to be really into musicals. I used to go to like every one I could, and then I got to a point.
Right.
I got to a point in my life where I realized that one, it wasn't really what I wanted to do professionally, and so I had a little less interest in it. But 2, I think it was that don't freak out, because I know I'm doing music and acting now. I know. But I think part of it was I got to a point with musicals where I was like, you know, unless it was something really special, I just got tired of the commercialized stuff. As fun as it was to do the escapist thing and see stuff, I could name probably 20 different musicals I've seen. You know, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I saw Hamilton. I saw Fiddler on the Roof live on Broadway. You know, I've seen Rent. I've seen You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, of course, because I was in high school doing theater. There's 100 others that I can't even remember the names of, but I've seen them, you know, Seussical, all of that. So I've seen a lot of the greats, you know, Annie Get Your Gun. I was in that, you know, so I've seen and done a lot of stuff, but I think in the past couple of years, I just haven't really connected with musicals as much. You know, I've connected a bit with Hamilton. I've connected a lot with the soundtrack of Hadestown. You know, I enjoy like Once on This Island. Amber is really into it. She showed me a lot of the music from that and some performances from that. And I've found that to be a really cool piece of theater, even though, from what I understand, that one also has its issues. You know, so I'm not saying I don't like musicals, but I guess it's like recently it hasn't been my thing. I'm more interested in the kind of shows that you put on, Adrian. I'm more interested in going to a small theater where people are talking about real shit than a big hall where it's a bunch of people very, very impressively dancing perfectly and singing perfectly and telling this grandiose story. That's great. It's just not my thing anymore, you know?
Just for that, I'm going to put a musical into a black box theater. You have just yeah,
do it.
like
do it.
So tell me this real quick. We're going to like deviate from Rent now.
Go ahead.
What role did you play in Annie Get Your Gun?
Oh God, this was in high school. Let me look up the character names again. I think it was Charlie something or other.
Charlie Davenport. You were Charlie Davenport.
Yes, I was Charlie Davenport.
I was Charlie Davenport.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, the cowboys, the rappers, the clowns, the roustabouts that move the show at dawn.
Yes.
They told you could not go far. At night you open, and there you are. Man, you look at
one day, then you wake up, and then you're a star. Let's go on with the show. Yeah. No, yeah. And look, that was fun. That was like the first time I was in a really big musical, and we got snowed out. We only got to do one show. It was crazy. Like everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. There was some other stuff with that show that I won't talk about. But it was cool. It was a cool experience. At the same time, it's one of those shows where I'm like, and I loved playing Charlie Davenport. I loved doing Any Get Your Gun. It was a fun show. At the same time, kind of like Rent, it's like, do we need to keep doing this show? As fun and awesome as it is. I'm just saying, it's Annie Get Your Gun. It's been around since the 20s. Do we, in 2020, still need to do that show?
You know, my friend Chris Veneris, who is a white man, came on this platform and said basically the same thing. There are a lot of musicals that are problematic and antiquated, and that needs to stay where they're at. And it's time to like start writing new ones with brand new modernized storylines.
Well, and the new ones are being written. It's just the money needs to go there. That's what I think.
Well, you know, people are afraid to spend money these days. People are afraid. Hamilton is the most recent chance.
Yeah, it is.
That they've taken. However, Phantom of the Opera has been on Broadway since God said let there be light. God said let there be light on Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. Or look at, look at Hair, I think it is, the musical. It's been around since the 70s. It was really out there for its time, but now you watch it and it's just like super fucked up, super fucking racist, super fetishistic of all the people of color in it, super like turns a gay man into a joke, basically, into a comedic relief, like really fucked up in hindsight, but for its time did so much for all these communities. And that's the thing, is it's like, how long do we want to hold on to shit? When are we ready to let go? Because we have to let go. But I'm also not saying we shouldn't celebrate classics. I'm not saying we shouldn't have shows that are like Shakespeare, that outlive their original runs and go on and get redone for hundreds of years and can have anybody cast in them. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen. I'm just questioning what gets to stay and what should go.
You know? I think it should go. Chicago. I saw that on Broadway. I was sitting there the entire hour and a half. I was like, yo, I got the DVD of this. I mean, we're talking about Rent. They did. But also,
yeah.
I was like, yo, I could have saved my $100 and watched this on my DVD.
Chicago should only be done in high schools. That is my belief. It should be done in high schools, and you should watch the movie, because when high schoolers do Chicago, it's either really good or really bad, and it's always fun to watch, regardless. I actually got to see a really good high school production of Chicago one time, and I did not think it was going to be good, and it was. So, like, I find that shit entertaining, but like,
what is the word? Tell me this. What is the word in the play in the play title of Chicago? What's the word in
it? What do you mean? Like,
there is a word in the word Chicago. There's another word in there. You know what the word is?
What?
Go. It needs to go. That performance was horrible. Yes. Bye. Go.
Yes. Chicago is definitely one of those ones that it's like, it's very fun to watch on DVD. It's fun to see live, but does it need to keep being fucking done? No.
After Queen Latifah has played Big Mama, and John C. Reilly has sang Mr. Cellophane, that's it. No, you can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't top that. I agree. You can't. I mean, it's a very good movie, and that's my point. Is some of these shows work better in a more marketable way. Like the whole beauty of theater is you go physically and you see something that you can't see at home. That's the point.
Right.
Something you could never, ever watch at home in a million years. You can go and see in person. So if something can have a movie made of it, maybe it doesn't need to be on stage as much anymore. Unless it's really groundbreaking or unless it really uplifts a lot of people who need to be uplifted in the community. Because I will say, theater fails us. Theater fails people of color, it fails queer people and trans people all the time. It especially fails women of color. Theater fails us, which is why film is getting those groups of people right now. That's where I'm headed pretty much. I'm going to be doing theater the rest of my life, but film is where I'm going to make my money. Let's be honest. Because in film, I can write this shit or I can meet somebody who's writing it. In theater, that shit's not happening. Because it's so hard to make money with theater that the mindset is we have to get people in the seats no matter what, rather than we should tell the best or the coolest damn story we can. Because if that was the mindset, all these golden age shows would be gone and we'd have new works that are just as good, if not better, getting people in their seats. And that's what theater should be about. Theater should be the gestation place. Theater should be the womb of creative storytelling. It's the most collaborative. It's the most interdisciplinary. It brings a bunch of different artists together, and it's where new shit can happen in really cool ways. Theater is where things should be gestated. Then maybe a film can be made, and then we make something new. Maybe that's weird to say, but that's what I believe. Like, theater should be where we see and feel shit we can't feel at home, or we can't feel from just watching the movie. You know, like, I love going to shows where people are doing dance moves that I could never in my life do. That's a reason to go to the theater, because it's experiential, right? It takes you out of where you are.
Right.
But also good reasons to go to theater are to see a person who doesn't get to tell a story they would never get to tell, and you get to see them tell it themselves. And because theater has failed at doing that in the larger scheme of things, that's why film is getting it.
Nobody needs to see Spider-Man After Dark.
Exactly. Spider-Man didn't need to be on fucking Broadway. Frozen didn't need to be on fucking Broadway. Broadway is for new shit. That's what it should be for. Or it should be for shit so good it has to come back. That's why I'm not mad that Lion King is there, or Hamilton is there, or Hadestown is there. They deserve to be there because you can't see that shit at home. Even if I have issues with some of that stuff, or I would like those shows to be different, I'm glad they're there because those are things you can't experience when you're sitting on your couch.
I would just like to point out that the 2019 Lion King never happened.
Really? That is unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
It was an acid trip. I was high when I was at the movies thinking that I was watching it. I wasn't watching it. I was listening to Childish Gambino sing, and that's it.
I get that. I enjoyed it mostly. I enjoyed it because there were new aspects to the storytelling from artists that were brought in, like Childish Gambino, like Beyonce, especially with The Gift. I don't know if you've seen the film and heard that album, but
man, okay, into positive territory. Yeah. Black King. First of all, I want to say there's a guy that I know who once commented on at one of my many Afrocentric posts who said, "Black ain't king, Jesus Christ is king. Up yours, eat wet dog poo. Black is king, bruh, man." See, my summer job. I am teaching refugee African kids who are from Africa, from Tanzania, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, all of that, right?
Right.
Black is King did was something that I try to do with them, and that is break that divide between American-born Africans and continental Africans, and that's what Black is King did. Beyonce went to Africa, got all of those incredible African musicians. Bruh, my most favorite song from there is Ja Ara by Burna Boy, right?
Yeah.
Woo, man. And
so what I'm saying is, like, It's called The Gift for a reason.
It is.
Like that's some shit, and that's on film. That's some shit that I could never see or listen to anywhere else.
And I'm sorry I had to get through that bad remake of Lion King to get to The Gift.
Yes, it is. It is. I get that. It is frustrating, but you have to admit, I am glad that version of The Lion King exists. Not only because a lot more black people got to be involved in a version of The Lion King, and that's how it should be, but also because The Gift exists. Black is King exists because of that.
True.
And I'm not black, but those albums affect me. Like, made me fucking weep. Like, crying like a baby at certain parts of it. I cannot imagine how moving or powerful or empowering it is for a black person in America or Africa to view that and realize that's the heritage, that's the power, those are the roots, like it's the progenesis of both coming together. There's, being Roma, we are cut off from our history and culture a lot of the time. A lot of us are adopted, we lose our families. I'm fighting right now to try and reconnect with what bits of my roots I can find. At the same time, I have no idea what it would be like to be cut off by hundreds of years of bullshit. And to get something that says, regardless of all of that, you are home. Like, these are your people. This is your culture. And I'm not trying to speak for anybody, but that's what I feel and see and read when I see that album. And when I watch that film. And it affects me. And I can't imagine what it does for you guys.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Amber felt a certain way about it. I feel, I definitely feel empowered. I feel some type of way about it because, joins, like I said, I love Ja'ara, Keys to the Kingdom by Tina Savage. Yeah. Brown Skin Girl, bruh.
Yes. Imagine what that does for a kid. Right now.
At colorism and punches it right in the face. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Imagine being a kid right now and that being your culture and getting to see this huge artist, probably the biggest black female artist on the planet.
Yeah.
Making that happen, telling you how important you are, how important your culture is. I can't imagine what that feels like. I can't imagine the pride that creates, especially in a community and in people who are taught they shouldn't have pride because that's how our system is constructed. Like,
yeah, I will tell you this.
Sorry. I think about this shit a lot. Like, I apologize.
It's good, man. Sure, you are in tune with your reality. You have a conscious mind. I will tell you this. Yes, you're not black, but guess what? I tell you what. I bet you that I am one of the many black people who will look at you and say, "Lorin, come on to the cookout."
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, we would. You're one. We would definitely invite you. You are definitely invited to the cookout.
Thank you.
I mean, for goodness sake, hasn't Amber told you this stuff? I mean, hasn't Amber said that to you? I'm
pretty sure a lot of people have said that to me, but I'm always thankful to hear it. I will admit, I made that mistake that a lot of other people of color make when we look at just, the black community has so much that's beautiful about it. And I think when you're looking for a culture or a people that you can't connect with, like, I couldn't connect with my culture. I had to research it on a damn computer. So initially it was very hard for me to connect with that. And when I grew up with friends from the black community, that was the culture I connected with. I learned how to temper that and how to pull back because I did that in a way that was inappropriate when I was younger. I was appropriating versus trying to understand and appreciate, which I think is different. I used to appropriate and now I try to just appreciate. And I understand that I'm not necessarily a part of that culture, but that I'm adjacent to it. I'm next to it. And I try to just be very appreciative at any time I'm let in or any time, I get to observe the beauty of that culture and what you guys are doing, what you guys are about. You know, and I hope I haven't spoken out of pocket, you know, but I'm just trying to be appropriate and saying that, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. But
You are basically saying that you appreciate the invitation to the cookout. You just don't want to, you know, sit back, and you don't want to, like, you know, overextend. Dang, I'm losing my train of thought too. I'll tell you this. You're familiar? Have you heard the new Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak joint?
no, I have not. I should listen to it though.
Okay, so there's people who have been saying that Bruno Mars is culturally appropriating because, you know, he's Puerto Rican, but his music is black. That's black music.
Right.
But, you know, I look at it and I say, you know, we are just so dope of a culture that, you know, people who fully appreciate can't help but want to emulate. You know what I'm saying? Like Adele. I mean, there are so many artists from the 70s and 80s in her music. Justin Timberlake, man, we let him to the cookout so fast, but then he showed off Janet Jackson's breast, and we was like, man, get the heck up out of here.
He showed his ass. He showed his ass completely.
You listen to Robin Thicke and who else? Shoot, the English dude. What's the English dude's name? I forgot his name.
Oh God. I can't.
Okay, I'll just say that, you know, there is completely ripping off from the culture and being a butthole about it, like what Elvis did.
Right.
But there's also drawing inspiration from the culture and showing respect, like kind of what you do, or like what Bruno Mars does. I don't know if Eminem does it, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I you know, it's hard because you try to find this balance, but I think it's appreciating your position, knowing the difference between knowing the difference between what I go through and what you go through daily. We both deal with shit, whether it's police or customs at the airport or just the way people look at us. But I also know I don't go through the shit you go through, and I can't pretend that I do. And it's not right of me to try and take on the pieces of culture and say that this is my experience when it's not. It's great for me to like respect that and love it and want to appreciate it and share it with others, but it's not my place to claim it necessarily as my own. So I definitely feel like, you know, I have people I love from all different backgrounds, from all different places and lifestyles and orientations, and I try to just be appreciative and respectful of where they're all coming from without necessarily taking from them what is theirs. And I hope that I can do that appropriately. And that's part of my responsibility as an artist, is finding that balance in my own work between what's my story and what's not, and what is appropriate for me to tell and talk about.
Right. So, yo, this is a conversation. This is a conversation that I would like to have with you on future episodes. You know, kind of like do this as a ongoing thing. You know, talking about kind of like break it down theater like that, because you described Rent in a way. You and Ralph described Rent in a way that I never even thought of, and you just got me over here thinking about Black is King, man. Just
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I want a theater world where stories like Black is King get told by the people who know how to tell them. Because look, like that is easily, for me, that's easily one of the best albums, and that's easily maybe the best visually, like it's a visual feast. Like it's one of the best films I've seen in my entire life, and it's easily the best album I've ever listened to. It's up there in my top 10, easily, without a doubt. And I've listened to it. Adrian knows, like I've listened to a shitload of music. So I think for me, I guess what I would say, I guess since we're probably getting near the end here, is I want to see a theater world where there are stories and pieces of art being told by people who are destined to tell them in a way that you can't see anywhere else or hear anywhere else, that make you feel and think things you would never have felt or thought if you hadn't gone in that room. I think that is the point of theater. I think that's the point of art in general. And I think that's the power of a musical, is you can do it with music too. And music will reach people a lot faster than just words. So if that's what musicals are moving forward, and if people step up their game and keep pushing and keep trying to do better and keep telling stories in more ethical ways, we can only go up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, and again, if you want to go there, go there.
Yeah.
Go there. And we are getting towards the end, because I don't know what you're going to do for the rest of your Easter Sunday. Me, I am about to go. Oh my god! I just realized something. I might accidentally cut it from my mom, because we are actually about to. I'm actually about to go. Hang out with my mom, and we are going to go see Judas and the Black Messiah. Yeah, I'm starting to realize that a good portion of my conscious revolutionary pro-blackness, a good portion of it comes from my mom. And it is my pro-blackness that at one point made me want to put Hamilton in the category of an unofficial black musical. But now I say no, it's not. It is definitely not. That's cultural appropriation, if anything is. But Lorin, I would like for next time. I don't know when's the next time we could get you, but next time I would like to talk to you about that. Hamilton, the musical about slave owners, is culturally appropriating right there.
I would love to break down Hamilton. I think that would be very fruitful. I think that would be a fruitful expedition for sure.
I agree too. So, Lorin, remind the people of what you got coming up.
So, what I got coming up, Terrifying, a film by Amanda Almodovar, Dennis Corcoran, and an amazing team of phenomenal actors and a couple of filmmakers. It's going to be a short film. It's going to be really, really dope. I'm going to be in it. It's written by a friend, Amanda. She's amazing. It's being shot at the Shadowbox Theater this upcoming Saturday. I have no idea when the edit will come out, but when it does, I will try to get it boosted as much as possible. You will probably hear me on the show here, trying to plug it as much as possible.
Lorin, hold on for 1 second. Someone banging on my door like the police.
Oh,
keep talking.
So that's going to be exciting. So look out for that. I'll be posting about it. Lorin Kaplan on Facebook. I'm sure Adrian will be posting about it. I don't really have anything else to plug, but I guess what I would say is keep enjoying your theater. If you love your experiential stuff, if you love going to the theater and just having an amazing experience, do that. But also push for the people to be telling your stories to tell them more ethically and more ethicably. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Well spoken, Lorin. Well, I'm about to get up out of here. This is ADQ Renaissance. Watch Mayhem at the matinee. And like I said, next time we are going to break down the cultural appropriating musical about slave owners that Hamilton is. No, Lorin, always great chopping up with you, brother.
Absolutely. I always enjoy coming on the show. That's why I've been on 3 times. Hopefully I was somewhat coherent.
3 times, man. 3 times.
Wow.
All right. You all have a great, great, great rest of your Easter. Thank you again, Lorin. I'm ADQ. This ADQ's Renaissance. Peace. Deuces. Peace. Do not appropriate cultures. Peace.
Peace.